Before we move further in, I'm going to take a real quick personal privilege and probably get in a lot of trouble for it, but there's someone with us today who doesn't get to come to many of our events because she's always very, very busy doing something, whether it be teaching, substituting, running around after our kids, taking them from here to there. But Tiffany Tate, as you know, works on our team and is a great staff member, and most of you know is leaving to take another opportunity, and we're sad about that, but we're happy for Tiffany. Well, she called me in August and said, I have an opportunity to go to Guatemala with her boyfriend, or fiance, and I said, great, that's awesome. She said, we're leaving the morning of the 16th of November. And I said, that's not quite as great. But as we moved into this, so we needed some more help. And so a couple days ago, I said, hey, Susie, what you doing on Thursday? And she said, I said, are you subbing? Are you teaching? She said, no. I said, good. Come join us. So my wife, Susie, is with us. Please stand. One of the great nights and other things that you probably is question whether are doing great things who are leaders in our community. And we have 2 awards that have been started through the process of 10 at the Top that do exactly that. And the first award began last year. The first award we're going to recognize is the Carol Burdette Leadership Award, named in honor of the first female chairperson of 10 at the Top. And that award was given for the first time last year to Minor Shaw. And I'm going to call Carol up to make the presentation for 2017.
Thank you, Dean. Honoring others is one of my favorite things to do, and surprising them is even better. Today's recipient of the Carol Burdette Leadership Award is a nurse by profession. She has been impacting lives and influencing others throughout the Upstate and beyond for decades. When I first met her, she was a professor of nursing at Clemson University, and shortly after that, she was named the Region 1 DHEC Director in South Carolina. That would mean that she would be overseeing health departments in Anderson and Oconee counties. She was passionate about immunizations, other maternal and child health issues, health promotion, and everything else provided at the health department. But while serving in that position, she also filled many volunteer positions within our community in Anderson County and in Oconee County. She has also, in fact, more organizations than we have time to mention. She also received many notable community awards. But since retiring, she also has taught nursing at Anderson University, and she and her husband co-chaired our annual United Way campaign, and now they chair our Volunteer Center Council. They participate in almost every volunteer opportunity within the United Way organization in Anderson County. But she's been very active also in the Rotary Club of Anderson as a past president. And for the past 3 years, she has been serving 10 at the Top as the chair of the Child Wellbeing Council. Now, when I worked for Dr. Becky Campbell, when my fellow employees couldn't find me, they'd go, oh, Carol's down brown-nosing the boss. Well, today is my time for the ultimate brown-nosing. Becky Campbell is so deserving of this award because by the time she left DHEC, her influence was over multiple counties within South Carolina as the reorganization had happened. She has been influencing, impacting, and making the lives of so many better through her passion and compassion for decades. I wear my orange today to represent Becky's fighting tiger spirit to help those less fortunate within our community of Anderson County and way beyond. Becky, if you'd come up and be recognized.
Thank you. I really don't deserve any kind of recognition, but I will say that I inherited a philosophy from my dad. He truly believed that it didn't take very much to make a difference in your community. And I tell that to everybody. If you do just a little something, it will make a difference. So thank you so much for this.
When I first got to the Upstate, or actually before I got to the Upstate, I got to interview with Irv Welly from our founding chair. And I had been to Anderson. We have relatives in Anderson, so I spent time in Anderson. I'd never spent time in Greenville. And so it was interesting to get to meet Irv and to see Greenville. And I guess I did okay on the interview, although Ingo will say it took a bunch of arm twisting to get, to convince some folks. But I made it here. And our organization, because of Irv, because of Erwin Madry, because of Carol, because of a bunch of other people in the room, Neil and others, if I keep naming names, I'm going to get in trouble. But it has been able to survive and we hope thrive and be a key part of the Upstate for now 8 years, and we hope on. Well, in 2012, when he retired as our chairperson, we wanted to honor Irv's legacy for collaboration. And it isn't just 10 at the top. Many of you know the story. He was involved with creating the Upstate Alliance. He's been involved in many other organizations across the region. But we created the Welling Award in honor and recognition of Irv. And then every year we've presented it to people who are well-deserving of that recognition, a couple of whom are in the room. Erwin is here, and Phil Hughes as well. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Irv to make our presentation for 2017.
So let me first say that I was sitting thinking about a lot of things during lunch, and I realized that 10 years ago, come April, 10 years ago was when we did the reality check, which was really the kickoff for 10 at the Top. And so I look back and I think over 10 years, it's we've come a pretty nice ways. We'll always have ways to go more, but we have a lot to be proud of. I'm just looking out right now, looking at the great crowd that's here. It's very impressive. I would like to also tell Susie that Dean does do everything he says, and in fact, he really does a lot more than that. I'm very thankful that we have Dean on board, and I'd like to give them all, let's give them a very special one. So this is the 6th year that we've done this award, and the criteria that we use is someone who's been a champion of the Upstate Alliance over the years, over a sustained period of time, and that in that has advanced regionalism and has been very impactful along the way in doing so. So we've had, as Dean mentioned, we've had every one of our recipients has had a very key role in what we're sitting around here today doing. And this year is no exception. So this person, I'm not going to try to tip it off here just yet, but this person has been involved from the very get-go. We assembled, when we were starting 10 at the Top, we were assembled a board, people that guided and could carry the torch of regionalism and of the Upstate, about 10 at the Top, 10 at the Top's mission. And she's continued to do this ever since. So I would like to present this year to Carol Burdette. And by the way, she said that she liked to surprise people, and so do I.
Surprised, all capital letters. I talking to Irv earlier, and I had no idea. They said, well, we've really tried to keep, I said, I think Becky's going to be surprised. And Dean and Irv said, well, we think this person's going to be surprised today who gets the Welling Award. And I never even, thank you. It has been an honor to be involved with this progressive, impactful organization over the last decade. Thank you.
That is true. We were standing right over here and she just had no clue. It was great. So this leads to really a fun part of the program that we do every year, and that's the Hughes Investments Elevate Upstate grants. And just a little background on how this came about. In 2011, when we did the unveiling of the regional vision in the 5 driver areas that you can see behind here, one of them is community vibrancy. And we said at the time, we know there are a lot of organizations, a lot of groups, a lot of people across the country doing wonderful things to grow vibrancy in their communities. And we need to borrow ideas, or at least give us some thoughts here in our region. Not that we don't have communities doing great and vibrant things, but there's nothing wrong with borrowing an idea from someone else who's doing something well, or finding out how they got their community engaged, or whatever it might be, because we all learn and we share from each other. That's what this is about. That's what 10 at the Top's about. That's what this whole idea of working collaboratively is. So we work with USC Upstate, professor there, Dr. Abe Goldberg, who was just a champion in terms of engaging us with his classes to look at community vibrancy and how that impacted our communities, and what were communities across the country and across the state and across the country that were doing vibrant things. And we did that over a 2-year period, identified 50 different communities, all sizes, because our communities are all different sizes and things of that nature. And then we had a series of workshops in the spring of 2013. Some of you I know attended those, where we brought 10 of those folks here to the Upstate and asked them to share with us. We put them on a van and we went around the region. We were in Spartanburg, we went to Greenwood, we went to the city of Clemson, we did Greenville, and for 2 days, and they shared with folks across the region their story, what they were doing in their communities. And that would have been great if that was where it ended. But about 4 weeks, I think, before that was starting, one of the things we had done with Dr. Goldberg was we had mentors, members of our group, the Community Vibrancy Task Force and things, worked with his students on a regular basis. And one of the people who was part of that was Phil Hughes. And so he got to know their students, he got to know the program and the community vibrancy and what we were doing. And he called me about 4 weeks, I think, before we were doing these grants or doing the workshops, and he said, that's great, this is exciting, but we've got to make sure we have some of those programs happening here. And any of you who work in nonprofits know that usually the next sentence is, and you need to go do X. Well, that's not how Phil works. Phil said, and I'm going to help support, and we didn't know what it was yet. But it didn't take very long, maybe a day or two. I think within a couple of days we actually had the workings for the Community Vibrancy Elevate Upstate grants. Phil and his wife came up with a name, and the rest is history. This is the 5th year. More than $50,000 have been invested in 17 communities across our region. 3 of our finalists today have received grants previously for other projects, which tells you that we've got communities that are doing great things. It's just a great story. And so before we get any further, here is the story of last year's recipient and a little bit more about the history of the program, and then we'll get into it.
Since 2013, the Hughes Investments Elevate Upstate grants have been awarded annually to jumpstart projects that increase local vibrancy in communities across the upstate of South Carolina. During that time, 17 upstate communities have received seed funding totaling more than $55,000. These Elevate Upstate grants are part of a 10 at the Top Community Vibrancy Program made possible through a funding commitment from Phil Hughes and Hughes Investments Incorporated. The 2016 Elevate Upstate recipient was West Pelzer, South Carolina.
My name is Blake Sanders, mayor of the town of West Pelzer, South Carolina. Expand Your Wings is a project that was derived from walkability, making West Pelzer more walkable and encouraging our residents to get out more. So we looked at a historic walking tour to connect the elementary school to the fire department to our downtown core to the edge of the city limits using our existing sidewalk system and low traffic roads. One of the main concerns that we had was how do we encourage safety while getting people out, and what do we encourage them to do? How do we tell the story of West Pelzer? And so we looked property by property, looking at the history of each building, and developed a walking tour brochure. And looking through our old ordinances, we found out that the town of West Pelzer is a certified bird sanctuary. So we had the Anderson School District 1 Career Center build birdhouses, and we had West Pelzer Elementary School Goalposts, the after-school program, uniquely paint every one of them. We passed them out to every Main Street business and every Main Street resident. If you follow the bird prints that leave from Town Hall, where you'll pick up your walking tour brochure, you'll see bird prints every 200 feet to guide you toward the crosswalk for crossing, and at each location where there's a unique birdhouse that's shown. Because of the 10 at the Top grant and because of Hughes Investments, we're able to promote our Main Street district, our downtown businesses. We're able to promote our children, our elementary school, and we're able to promote health and well-being and increase the quality of life in West Pelzer. And for that, we will be forever grateful.
1, 2, 3.
As the Vibrancy Initiative reaches its 5th year, 10 at the Top expresses its gratitude for the continued support and guidance of Phil Hughes and Hughes Investments in promoting community vibrancy and developing a sense of place across the Upstate.
And it is my pleasure to introduce Phil Hughes.
What a great group, and thank you for the pleasure of being here. I really don't have any prepared words other to say that it's really nice to be able to give back. But I'm not giving back money that I created, I'm giving back money that the community has been able to give me, and it makes it a real pleasure to be able to give it back. And it especially gives me pleasure to hear stories like I've just did from Seneca. We've known it a while, but to hear it firsthand makes it even better. When they won, their nonprofit was about to go under. They presented a great idea, and it just turned the whole organization around. The building we're going to sell was not sold. They're thriving today. There's so many things, as Becky said earlier, that the smallest thing you can do in the community can really have a big impact. You guys are here today to show your love of the community. I don't think anyone loves it any more than I do. Maybe someone does, but I want to meet them. It's just an incredible place, and it keeps getting more and more impressive, and it's because of people like you. And it's really amazing to be able to find these different applications that keep coming in year after year. And it's been a nice 5-year run. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of incredible things that have happened. But I'm pleased to share with you that I'm willing to keep on going 5 more years. Dean makes it so easy, and I've often said I certainly welcome other people participating. It's amazing how many people out there have such good ideas, will put in countless hours, but they do need some money because that's what it takes to get things flying off the ground. So we're happy to have this year, and I'll go ahead and make a little announcement today that there's not going to be a loser today. A little complex idea, but I've had fun before. Everyone loves surprises, and I like helping a surprise too. But every year we're going to give 2 awards, and this year we're going to give 2 awards. But whoever isn't the recipient of the full $5,000 award, I want to give a challenge to the other 3. If you'll raise at least $2,000, I'll match that $2,000, all 3 of you. So I hope that lets everybody know. Everybody's going to be a winner. Thank you very much.
it's always cool to have an event where people get money. Awesome. We actually have the checkbook that we write checks today. So it is cool. 2 people, two ideas will receive the full amount, or at least half of it today. And then the others, as you said, the challenge from Phil. So now it comes to the hard part. Phil and Ingo Engelmeyer probably have the hardest job because we have 5 amazing projects that are the finalists this year for Elevate Upstate. They are just all really, really amazing. And the way we do this, for those who are new, is you have 4 minutes to share your idea. 4 slides, 4 minutes. Sharon Purvis, raise your hand, Sharon, who is a great supporter and works part-time with us at Tent Top and is just amazing for many things that she does, is also very amazing as a timekeeper. Because she, at 3 minutes, will give you a 1-minute sign, and at 4 minutes, the floor, RP has the floor rigged, and no. At 4 minutes, then they're done. So you have 4 minutes to sell your idea to Phil and to Ingo, but like we said, they're all really good.